Hey, good evening. It's Friday night, and Friday night is perfect for playing Magic with your friends. Oh, we have an echo. We have an echo again. Alright, Friday night is perfect for playing Magic with your friends. And tonight is kind of a special night for me. I get to go back on to Beth, QueenofCardboard stream, and play Magic again. And it's special because Beth is the first streamer who ever had me on as a guest, and really is why I managed to kind of do this and didn't feel super silly. So I'm super extra excited because I'm going to build a version of Beth's list that she put together for I think I have to reboot and restart. Well, we'll try this anyway. So here's what's going on with this. So I'm going to build Tegwyll, Duke of Splendor. If you get the title card, it's in the link. So this is from Beth QueenofCardboard's Pre-Con Upgrade Guide, which you can find over on EDHREC Articles, Fae Dominion Pre-Con Upgrade Guide. By, again, Beth QueenofCardboard. So let's talk a little bit about what Beth has done based in her article. So Beth has decided to keep Tegwyll, the Duke of Splendor, as her commander. I just gotta hide my episode title guide here. There we go. So she's decided to keep Tegwyll as the base commander. So Tegwyll, if you don't know, flying, death touch, other fairies you control get +1/+1. Whenever another fairy you control dies, you draw a card and lose a life. Okay. So let's start with Beth's cuts. So I wonder if I can actually show you her article. Because, I mean, this is Beth's work, and so we should make sure everybody knows that it's Beth's work and not my work. So let's see if I can add a source. Let's grab a... What do I grab? What should I grab here? A window. So let's just add a window, click OK. And let's grab my Chrome window. There we go. Excellent. So we're actually looking now at Beth's list. Let's make this a little bit bigger here so we can read the words. Okay. So what does Beth cut? Beth has cut Alila Cunning Conqueror. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's see. Let's actually put the lands all aside. And the... Oh, there's our pretty Tegwyll. So let's set the lands and the tokens aside, because we'll look at that later. Nobody ever remembers to fix the lands. And I actually find the lands are probably the thing that I fix most often. I've already made one pass at fixing this deck, which is why there's some things in here that don't look like they belong. So I may have already removed it. So that tells you, I guess, how I feel about that. Let's see. Is it in my pile over here? It is. Okay, so there's our first cut. So apparently it was also one of my first cuts. So let's remove Alayla. So she's gotten rid of 15 creatures. I think, in fact, she's gotten rid of 25 cards. So for me, that's too many. Just because for me to retain the flavor of a pre-con, I like to keep it between 10 and 15%. So that's almost, because it's almost exactly 100 cards, 99, that's 10 to 15 cards. So we're not going to cut all of these. But let's pull out the ones that she's going to cut, and then let's look at our available pool of replacements, and then make some choices from amongst her options in there. So what else we got? We got Blightwing Bandit's going to get cut. As we do this, let's sort these into their different categories. Instants, creatures, instants, instant, instant. Ah, right, it's a brand new deck. It's pretty much sorted. I don't know why I was being silly. We are going to replace this one with an original. Baronati. I think I put that one in. Quickling, Night Veil, Reconnaissance, Reflection of a Jar. Okay. Shadow Puppeteers, Fae of Wishes, Brazen Boar, Macking Sprite, Sign of Una, Fairy Blade Crafter. Nope. Blightwing Bandit. Okay, I'm just going to finish sorting these here. Artifact. Okay. So there's our artifact pile. Here's our creature pile. We have another instant. These are sorceries. We have one enchantment in the deck that that's interesting. And you'll notice it's not Bitter Blossom, which I think is weird. Sorcery. So these are all instants. Alright. Alright, so let's keep going here. Brazen Borrower. Brazen Borrower. So she's cut Cloud of Faeries. I am going to put that in this pile. There is an interesting combo in this deck that I don't want to cut if I don't have to. So let's see what else we've got here. Glenelendra Liege. It's always interesting to see which ones get cut. So other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. Other black creatures you control get +1/+1. So this is in the cut pile. Halo Forager. This was not actually originally in the deck. Baronati was not originally in the deck. Halo Forager. Hullbreaker Horror. So this is part of a combo. Where did I already... Did I pull it out and put it in another deck already? That's weird. Did it end up? Sometimes there's cards after the land. There it is. Okay. Hullbreaker Horror. Dig Through Time. Felwar Stone. Talisman. Soul Ring. There we go. Alright. So Hullbreaker Horror is a Beth cut. Malleable Imposter, Beth Cut, Mocking Sprite. Okay. Netting Nuisance. I'm going to just change my window size a little bit here. You can also sort of see what I'm doing and not just... Okay. All right. What else we got here? We just cut the Mocking Sprite, so the Netting Nuisance. So Netling Nuisance, Night Veil Sprite, Picklock Prankster, Scion of Una, Sower of Temptation, and the Spellsworn Coven. Okay. And for instance, we apparently have cut Dig Through Time, Perplexing Test, Runaway Together, Snap, and Theoretical Duplication. Okay. And for artifact cuts, we've cut a Felwar Stone, a Midnight Clock. It's a shame. I've never actually played with that card and kind of wanted to. A Misleading Signpost, and a Wayfarer's Bauble. Okay. And apparently there's a reconnaissance mission that we're cutting, which I must have missed. Okay. Reconnaissance mission. I put it in that pile. Okay. So, for creatures, let's minimize this. Alright, so for creatures we're left with an Archmage of Echoes, Fairy Formation, Puppeteer Clique, a Nimrus, Una's Trickster, Una. When I upgraded, I've been playing fairies forever. And I have to say the sole cut I made to my fairies deck after the Reslip Wilds of Eldraine is I cut Una as my commander and replaced her with Obra. So you have Blightwing Bandit, Rankle, which I really am not a huge fan of this card. It's the each player that gets to me. I've never played it and come out ahead of the deal. The one time I was happy with playing it, I played it so that my opponent could draw a card because they were land screwed. With the Chancellor of Tales, that's a new one from Wilds of Eldraine, or did I put that one in? Now I'm going to have to check. I'm going to have to check the master list to see if that's one of the ones I originally went to put in. Okay, creatures are still 23, so is Chancellor of Tales? No, this is not a card that belonged in the deck. This was one I put in. Naxxraw Clique is also one that I went to put in. Fairy Harbinger, also one that I put in. Pranksters, Glenlander Archmage, Fairy Bladecrafter, Shadow Puppeteers, Quickling, Obra Dreaming Duelist, Fairy Seer, Hypnotic Sprite, Sprite Noble, and the Pestermite, I think, is one that I also put in. Hey, how are you guys? Have you been... I have a second microphone. I'm getting a slight voice duplication. No, it could very well be the fact that I'm recording this in my EDH setup. So it may have an echo happening in the camera. I'm not really sure. Okay, let's try switching microphones. Is that any better? I just switched mics. As I pause. I'm also getting weird camera flashes that I think I'm going to have to fix. I think I have to reboot ahead of tonight's stream, so... Oh wow, there's lots of people in here. There's still an echo. I'm only using one camera though. That's the weird part. Or I've only got one mic turned on. Well, let's try this. Let's actually try just turning this one off. How's that? Any better? So now we should just be running on the keyboard. The keyboard is causing the camera to focus, making a loud sound. Is that what it is? Okay, so I muted my oh, it's the keyboard causing that problem. Okay. Is that better? Okay. All right. Hopefully. Okay. Never mind, it happened again. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think it's the Kaio camera is not doing the best. And I don't really want to completely shut down and restart. Because I've already... But at least the echo is gone. And I'll figure out what's going on with my video setup later. And I might have to re-record this. This is upsetting. I just don't want to lose my my audience. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that camera. It may in fact be the keyboard. Let's get the keyboard completely out of view. Alright, the keyboard is no longer anywhere near the desk, so it can't be grabbing focus. We'll go from there. Okay. Thanks everyone for putting up with this. This is my first attempt to actually record like an episode style thing. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. To upgrade the precon. And we have just finished removing the creatures and the other spells, and we're going to put some back in. Okay. And we're going to talk about some of the choices. And we're going to either accept or disregard the choices. And we have some brand new dragon shields that we're going to sleeve them up on. So, is there still an echo again? I couldn't do FNM today because I had to go for X-rays again. And so I had no real way of getting all my things done today and making it back in time for stream later. So, okay. We have some sapphire sleeves for our... Alright, so one of the things that Beth has talked about in her article is that we are being rewarded for our creatures dying, okay? So whenever another creature, fairy I control, dies, I get to draw a card, but I lose a life. So there's a couple of things that we have to kind of focus on, is how do we benefit from the death of our creatures, i.e. how do we make our opponents pay when our creatures die, and how am I going to gain some life back to offset the loss of life. The one risk I can see with what's going on in this build is just simply dying to a board wipe, right? You dump out all your creatures and then somebody wipes the board and you know, you just yeah, you die. But let's take a look at our options here, okay? So we've left, apparently, what is staying is Rankle. Glenelenda Archmage is going to stay, which I'm happy with that one. For those of you who don't remember, Glenelenda says, pay a blue, sacrifice Glenelenda, counter a target non-creature spell. That is such a powerful card, I run it in Merfolk. And then they left in... Oh, let's... So they've left in the Fairy Blade Crafter. So let's see if we agree with that. Fairy Blade Crafter. Whenever one or more fairies you control deal combat damage, put a +1/+1 counter. And it's a fairy rogue. So I'm noticing that I've got a couple of rogues for sure that I'm keeping. Okay? There's a card that's not in the deck that is not seemingly in the ad list, and that's the Noxious... is it Noxious Sprites? It's the blue one that has Prowl and dumps out a bunch of bodies. So we're going to keep that in mind, okay? So what exactly is our new pathway? So one of the first ads is a card called Old Flitterfang. So Old Flitterfang is a rat fairy. So at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, create a food token. So you can see right away that this would be a really good way of offsetting life. So let's take a look in our... So I actually went and dug out a bunch of cards from Beth's recommended list ahead of the stream because you did not want to see me and my butt getting up and down 1,000 times as I went searching for cards. I think I may have to get up to get the Bubbling Cauldron. So there we have Old Flitterfang. So let's stick Old Flitterfang in a sleeve. Alright, so Old Flitterfang. That's edition 1. Okay. So remember that Beth's list had 25. We are only going to do a max of 15 because that's the percentage of deck that I think still makes it essentially a precon. Okay. So Fairy Imposters in the editions. So that's God, that must be from Guilds of Ravnica, must be its original printing. And I have elected not to include that one, I don't think. And it's possible I don't have a copy of it, which is why I didn't include it. Yeah, that would be my guess. So when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return another creature you control to its owner's hand. That essentially is the champion mechanic. Oh yeah, pie-eating chonky rat is just... yeah. I'm quite stoked with it as well. So Fairy Imposter to me is essentially a champion mechanic. And there are cards in our cut pile that were champion mechanic cards. So I think if I were going to do that, I may actually bring back one of our original cuts. Honestly, I'd rather have Glenelender Liege ahead of that one. So let's skip the Fairy Imposter for now. Okay. Fleeting Gorilla is a really interesting one. Where's my copy? Fleeting Gorilla. So when it dies, each player mills 2 cards. Then you may exile Fleeting Gorilla. If you do, then nice stuff happens. No, I'm kidding. So when you do put target creature or battle card from your graveyard on top of your library. There are other cards that do this. There's a land card that does this, and so Fleeting Gorilla would be addition 2. Okay. Surveilling Sprite. Why is that not? When your Surveilling Sprite dies, you may draw a card. Again, it's a fairy rogue. So we have a little rogue sub theme going here. So I think it's apparently I think I probably should have restarted the stream. I think people are finding it unwatchable with the flickering. I'm so sorry. Okay, so the Surveilling Sprite. We'll put it in for now and see how that stocks up. So it's card draw, which is super important, but we'll go there, okay? So it's this next section I'm the most interested in, okay? We need sacrifice outlets, okay? Because we're going to do some cutting of instants and sorceries, Beth says that we're going to need permanents that are going to give value while doing the job. So Beth's suggestion is Attrition, Vampiric Rites, and Grave Pact as 3 of our options. So Attrition is 1 and 2 black, and sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-black creature. Love it. This is pretty much, a primo example of what it is that we're wanting a sack outlet, right? So we get to do 2 things with this, okay? We get to sacrifice a creature, and we get to we get to destroy one of theirs at the same time, okay? And I actually really like the art on the old Attrition. Sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-black creature. So we're going to go with that. So we've got 4. Vampiric Rites. Sacrifice a creature, you gain a life and draw a card. That is life gain neutral in terms of the entry fee for the people coming in under Tegwyll. Okay. I'm not as keen on this one. And we're going to skip this one for now. Oh, no, just my Vampiric Rites? I did have a copy. Haha. I go here. So let's stick our Vampiric Rites in the sleeve. So this is a style of deck that I don't think I've ever really played or built. So our Vampiric Rites. This is originally a Zendikar card. So sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Okay, so card draw, sack, and okay. Grave Pact. So Grave Pact is another enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each player sacrifices a creature. So that's definitely a must-have if we're going to build the style of deck that Beth was after. Okay. So what do we got now? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 editions. Okay. So those are our sacrifice editions. Now, she's made another couple of recommendations, and I'm going to take them. So we're going to add Skull Clamp. So equipped creature gets +1/-1, and whenever the equipped creature dies, draw 2 cards. In a deck where you're spitting out 1/1s, Skull Clamp is your ideal mechanism for getting rid of them. So let's go with Skull Clamp. Okay. The other recommendation, and just because I've never played this card, and I actually own one of the ones from the Brothers War that's like the schematic one, but I have owned this card for the better part of 30 years, and I've never played it. Not once have I built a deck with Ashnod's Altar in it. Beth is giving me the perfect opportunity to play Ashnod's Altar, so I am going to play Ashnod's Altar. For those of you who don't remember, they used to print 0 as a mana cost for, they used to specify the cost of an ability. If it was a 0 ability, they actually wrote a 0. So this is pay 0, sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, play this ability as an interrupt. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That gives us, in my style of upgrading a precon, 7 more cards max that we're allowed to do. So let's take a look at some of our recommendations that were made for us for the card draw. So we've got things like surveilling. So Talion is missing. Fairy Mastermind is missing. I don't own one of these. I don't think. But we've got things like Likeness Looter. Draw a card, then discard a card. Really like this card. So we're going to look in our pile of cards that we have available to us, and we are going to add a Likeness Looter. Okay. It's a shapeshifter, so it's also a rogue. Okay. Yeah, I think Henrique is probably better than Rankle 2, quite honestly. I like the Looter. I like the Looter a lot. I actually drafted that in a draft because I just was like, no, I don't care that I'm playing black and red. That card I want. And I like that it becomes a copy of a target creature card in your graveyard with mana value X, except it has flying and that ability. Okay. Fairy Vandal. Whenever you draw your second card, put a counter on. That is a really, really excellent way of getting cards to get bigger faster. Okay. Again, it's a rogue. And I keep stressing that because I'm going to make one addition to this deck that Beth has not. Psychosis Crawler. Yeah, we could include something like a Phyrexian Horror, but I agree with Beth in that I don't want to really punish my opponents for card draw. And my other personal philosophy for building these decks is that the cards in them must advance my board plan. I'm not including cards whose sole function is to disrupt my opponent's ability to do their jobs. It would be very different if I were playing a competitive. But this is casual in a friend pod. And I like being invited back. Not running Children. Alright, so now we're at the next stage. So we're losing life. We've got to find a way to get it back. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 5 cards that we're going to look at. So Blood Tithe. Each opponent loses 3 life, you gain life equal to the life lost that way. That's 9 life as a swing. So I'm going to go out on a tiny little limb and say that this is a card that we are definitely including. Okay. And the thing is, like, you never, like, you don't draw all these cards, right? Like, you just put them in because you're hoping they'll arrive. So we've got a Blood Tithe. That's all even back in M11, by the way. Really effective, I think. And I forgot that I had to do something here. I have to take a tiny ad break, and as I do that, I will grab the other deck that we need to grab cards from. If someone could just let me know if the when the ads stop rolling, that would be fantastic. I can never tell because it doesn't actually show me if ads are rolling or not. They are done? Okay, but I'll just keep talking. Okay, so Blood Tithe, definitely need to regain that. Consuming Vapors. Target player sacrifices a creature, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. What I really love about this is it has rebound. And I'm going to be able to afford it because you're not really doing this till later in the game anyway. Okay? So, we've got... So we want Consuming Vapors. Consuming Vapors. Let's get that into a sleeve. Okay. And this is a world weight card, so this has been around for nigh on forever, I'm guessing. Yeah, so put that in there. And one of my personal favorites is Exsanguinate. I think Insanguinate is just about the most black card ever printed, and it's all the way back from Scars of Mirrodin. So we've got an Insanguinate, which I actually really like I like the art of the original one. Because, like, you know, it's important that you know they're vampire elves. So, got our Insanguinate. So, where are we sitting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which gives us 2 more spaces. So let's just take a quick look at some of the recommendations here. And we have 2 more spaces. Oh, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am just building a deck. So I'm sort of evaluating some of the picks that Beth made and deciding which ones I'm going to accept and which ones I'm going to decline. I have the From the Vault Transform, and since I can, I'm going to I want to guess right as to which pile it's in. Let's see if I can tell from the back of the box. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be in the first package. So let's open the first package up. Part of me is like, I've devalued my cards by opening the set, but I did not guess right. Oh, wow. Okay. See, now that I've opened it, though, I'm going to replace some of the cards in my Q to Brute with the pretty versions from in here. Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, Bruna, Fading Light, Liliana, Defiant Necromancer. Oh, I must have mixed the packages up because that's the package it was in. Okay. So let's go here. And, oh, so they're all stuck together. Argyl's Bloodfast. There we go. So, legendary enchantment. More importantly, it becomes a legendary land. So, again, it's a sacrifice creature, and I gain life equal to the sacrifice creature's toughness. Okay? So, did you not go to FNM, Kato? Did you not want to have another one of those experiences where the person at the table decided to try a little too hard for casual? Because I wouldn't blame you. Alright, so there's our Argyll. Now, you know how I said we were going to play 15? We're going to make one set of cuts that is going to allow us this and still be in our 15. Oh, the theme. Sorry. So, tonight, I'm playing on Queen of Cardboard's 10 p.m. pod, or it's 10 p.m. my time, so I guess that's 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to play her faeries deck. Sorry, I've had this cough forever. So whenever another fairy you control dies, you draw a card and lose a life. So her upgrade list is really leaning heavy into Tegwyll's second ability. With the dry, if we want our fairies to die, let's leverage the death of our fairies. Yeah, darkness is great. With the exception of one card that I'm going to put in, because I think it belongs in the deck, we're sticking to Beth's article. So that's the other theme of this particular episode, is that I'm upgrading my precon based on kind of the article that Beth did. And we're going to see how practical that is as a way of upgrading a precon. Every other time I've upgraded a precon, I've used Rachel Weeks, and the articles that they do over on the command zone. So this is the first time I've done one from Beth's, so I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out. So we've added Arguable Bloodfast, which is a legendary enchantment, but it also becomes a land. And it's interesting because that land will kick in at 5 or less life, so it's kind of like a rescue land. And I am of the opinion that these things always run too much land, so I am actually going to cut an island to put that in. Or I'm going to potentially cut an island. I don't know yet. Because I have this pile of cards that we've cut that I may put back in. Okay, so Bubbling Cauldron. Love Bubbling Cauldron. Sacrifice a creature, gain 4 life. So that's what we're going to do. So Sanguine Bond, by the way, and so Sanguine Bond, which we put in, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And Exquisite Blood work together. Okay, so that's a bit of a combo. So we're going to include Bubbling Cauldron, which I believe is sitting in my Ubun deck. It's either in Ubun or in Noyandar, so let's see if we can find it here. Yeah, tonight is casual. Tonight is definitely casual. Oh, Withering Boon is great too. And I am going to build a version of Faeries that is definitely aimed at being more cutthroat, a lot like my Elves deck is. But tonight is a get invited back but have fun while you're doing it sort of evening. So the deck has been, I've already discussed, like we've already had the Rule 0 conversation earlier today on Discord, and the host of the pod tonight is the author of the EDHREC article, and is actually looking forward to seeing their list kind of played. So, and I'm making kind of some judicious sort of use of her suggestions, which is why her upgrade cuts 25 cards and replaces 25, and I think that I try and keep an upgraded precon to 10 to 15% upgraded, otherwise it's not really the precon anymore. And the other thing is, I think that the rest of the upgrade really does make the deck a little more powerful than what I would like to see in a casual pod. There we go. There's our Bubbling Cauldron. Okay. Alright. So we're going to put our Bubbling Cauldron in. Okay. Now, Beth's first cut were things like
Brazen Borrower,
Mocking Sprite, and the Night Veil Sprite. Oh, holy cow! Thank you. I haven't got sub rewards yet. I only made affiliate last week. But thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry. I don't know why that makes me unreasonably happy, but it does, and I appreciate it very much, so thank you. Apparently I have a low bar on my happiness meter. So one of Beth's first cuts was the Hullbreaker horror. Because thematically, whoa, okay, that just happened. Thanks, Onion? I am absurdly easy to make happy. I've had my friends describe me as being intensely mellow. I'm for the most part fairly easygoing, actually. I have my moments, but anyway, yeah, I'm just like, woohoo! I have subs. 5, like that's as many as the fingers on one whole hand. Like 5 golden rings, 4 EDH players, 3 life. No, I'm gonna stop now. You don't want to be punished by my singing. Anyway, so Beth cut the Hullbreaker horror. The thing is, there's kind of an infinite combo in the precon that I don't want to lose. So what is the infinite combo, you may ask? It's using my absolute all-time favorite fairy. The only fairy to be banned in Pauper. Where is it? Oh, I didn't cut it. I left it in the pile of creatures. No, I must have cut it. Okay, there we go. Where is it here? Oh no, did I lose it? Alright, that's disturbing. Oh, no, it's right there. I left it right front and center. Okay, so we have Cloud of Faeries. We have a Hullbreaker horror. Okay, and I'm not sure if they realized this when they did this. Where are the rest of my creatures? Oh, they're over here. But where is the Archmage of Echoes? So whenever you cast a fairy or wizard permanent spell, copy it. Okay. When Cloud of Faeries enter the battlefield, untap up to 2 lands. So imagine now that I've got Hullbreaker Horror and Archmage of Echoes out, and I cast Cloud of Faeries. Okay? So I get to copy it. When it enters the battlefield, and so it's kind of cool. Basically, any other 3 mana permanent, it will essentially give you infinite mana, infinite end of the battlefield effects. So you could essentially pull up your opponent's board and then crash through for victory. And I like that because, for me, that feels very on flavor. with, yeah, keeping it somewhat budget as well. I know I'm actually really close to a hype train. That is so weird. That happens to real streamers, not to me. So I'm, because I'm not going to cut 25 cards, 2 of the cards that I'm not cutting are the Hellbreaker Horror and the Cloud of Faeries. And I'm not cutting them specifically because of the combo. And I wouldn't go out of my way to put a combo in a casual deck. Oh, Esri. That's awesome. Esri will be very happy with that. Wow, I'm apparently easy to disrail with happiness hormones. So, while I wouldn't go out of my way to put a combo into a casual deck, in fact, I've often played my Elves deck in a casual event and chosen not to play the combo pieces, right? I've chosen not to turn on Momer Vig by replacing his text. But since the deck came with the combo, I'm keeping the combo. Okay. So let's take a look at the other cuts that we either disagree on. So misleading signpost. And I agree with Beth's assessment. Beth assesses this as essentially an automatic good card that just got put in because it was a good card and not because it really fit within the deck. Misleading Signpost is 2 and a blue, has flash. When Misleading Signpost enters the battlefield during the declare attacker step, you may reselect which player or permanent target attacker is attacking. So it's essentially a fancy sort of redirect. And it is a great card. But it's... I think I have some a couple of other options in terms of the things that we're not going to put back in. Okay. So these were again to just sort of recap that. These were the cuts: Alayla, Blightwing Bandit, Brazen Borer, Petty Theft, Cloud of Faeries, Glenlander Leech, Halo Forager, the Horror, Malleable Imposter, Mocking Sprite, Nightveil Sprite, Reconnaissance Mission, the Baubles, the Signpost, Midnight Clock. Recursion is something that we haven't really talked about, we haven't really included. So her final list looks like this. And we didn't talk about it, but there's the Bitter Blossom, which we will be including. The other one, so what do we got? We have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we're a little higher than my goal, which was 15. It's also like a 14 mana combo. Yeah, it is. Fortunately, you don't get it out all at once, right? So that's 18 cards. And what we're going to do is we're going to add, since Beth said to add a couple of cards kind of our own, we are going to do that. So we're going to add a Bitter Blossom, which of course So we're also going to put in the pretty cloud of fairies because, you know, and we could do things like necromantic selection, for sure. We could put the elfstone in. You know, there are definitely things that could go in. Just trying to figure out where Bitter Blossom is. But again, we're trying to sort of stay within the power level of the pre-con and just have it work kind of a little bit better than it was working before. It occurs to me I didn't actually remember seeing, okay, there's our Bitter Blossom. Okay, so there we go with Bitter Blossom. And the other card that we're wanting to sort of put in is the Noxious Throng, Notorious Throng. So, remember how I kept talking about the fact that we had a big rogue thing going on? This is probably my favorite payoff for having rogues. And I think since we want to be rewarded for doing things with creatures, we want to make sure we have the bodies. And Notorious Throng is a really good way to do that. Okay. Am I getting blocked echo again? I thought I had turned off the extra mic. I'm using a different setup to play or to do this than I normally use for streaming, and I haven't worked the bugs out of it yet. So, okay. Let's turn this off. Okay, so we've got Notorious Throng and Bitter Blossom. Okay. So our this over here. So in terms of our additions to the deck, we have Bitter Blossom, Notorious Throng, Argyll's Bloodfast, Exsanguinate, Consuming Vapors, Blood Tithe, Ashnod's Altar, Skull Clamp, Old Flitterfang, Flitting Gorilla, Surveilling Sprite, Attrition, Vampiric Rites, Grave Pact, Likeness Looter, Fairy Vandal, Bubbling Cauldron, we didn't add that one, we just didn't cut those. Archmage of Echoes. That's a little bit better, actually. 1, 2... Nope, this was an original card, too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have 17 additions that we have made to the deck. Yeah, Toxic Deluge would be, like, right up there. 100%. Yes, like 100% I would put Toxic Deluge in this deck if I were going to ramp it up. It is a very good suggestion. So we are an hour into the build, which is actually pretty good. So we had 17, we made 25 original cuts. We have 18 cards that we've put back in. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cards put back in. So we can put 7 cards back in. So of those 7 cards, we're going to put the Archmage of Echoes. Was he one of the cuts? Yeah, we're going to put the Archmage of Echoes back in. The Cloud of Fairies. and the Hullbreaker Horror. Let's make sure that I'm doing this math right here. Actually, the Archmage was not a cut. So we have 8 cards we can put back in. Okay? So let's take a look at what we've got from our cut pile. So our cut pile looks like this. A Sprite Noble, Hypnotic Sprite, Fairy Seer, Ober-Deeming Duelist, a Quickling, Shadow Puppeteers, Glenelender Pranksters, Lightwing Bandit, Una Queen of the Fae, Nimrod Trickster, Puppeteer Clique, and a Fairy Formation. Wait. No. Those are not things that were cut. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Those should never have been cut. They weren't cut. I have the wrong pile of cards. I'm really bad at this. I am super bad at this. We have potentially pulled a single land out. A partridge in a pear tree. Yeah. So I potentially have pulled a single island out, but our land count is ridiculous. So just to walk you through it, I'll actually throw this up on the... I'll throw it up so you can see. So this deck has 35 lands in it, which I think is too many, and they're the wrong lands. I always joke that my auto-include for fixing a precon is an Amulet of Vigor. I don't. I'm not that organized. And I'm a little. I did at least go and collect up some of the cards instead of having to go and dig them all up this time. So there's a Bajuka Bog, a Choked Estuary, a Command Tower, a Catacombs, an Aqueduct, Exotic Orchard, a Fairy Conclave, 10 Islands, a Myriad Landscape, a Path of Ancestry, Secluded Glen, a Sunken Hollow, 11 Swamps, a Tainted Isle, and 1 Temple of Deceit, and 1 Temple of the False God. I think that's 1 land too many, and I would swap 1 land for an Amulet of Vigor. Because the other problem with these lands is they're coming in tapped. And lands coming in tapped is just like death for a deck that wants to be fast. I have seen them. All of mine live in a giant wicker basket on the other side of the room, but they're in deck boxes at least, except for this mess. So this is my typical box that I do the challenge builds from. It's just a box I found of cards that survived the house fire, and it's usually what I build from, because it contains fantastic cards like Council of the Soratami, and a Bog Rats, because who doesn't like Bog Rats? Oh, and Bone Harvests. Bone Harvests are really good cards. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library. Draw a card at the beginning of the turn's next. Okay, so if I were going to suddenly include a recursion, so you know how Beth talked about including... So one of the things that she thinks the deck did right was copying the fairy spells, but we don't have any recursion. So she highly suggests adding some recursion spells to the list. You know what? That's recursion. And it came out of the box of jank. So it is a legitimate card because I didn't have to go and spend money on it. That's our recursion. There we go. Recursion. This is how I build decks. So yeah, so I don't know what your thoughts are on Amulet of Vigor versus actually going and fixing a land base, but I have found it incredibly helpful in just running a precon. So, but again, I'm trying to stay as close to Beth's list as possible. So our cut cards. Yeah. So I think we didn't include. Did she bring a Felwar Stone? She got rid of the Felwar Stone, right? Yeah. So she added a Phyrexian Altar, which I don't have. And I don't have a Robe of the Archmage. Which is fine. And I didn't put in an Alhammarant's Archive because I don't own one of those either. So, yeah. So I think we have a little bit of room. I don't have a Wound Reflection. So for cards that this is not running that it really should be running, there's no permission in this deck. And that bothers me. And I'm trying to figure out whether it would violate the rules to do that. So... So what do we got left? All right. So let's take a look here. So Soul Ring, Talisman of Dominance, Commander Sphere, Arcane Signet, Dimir Signet, Mind Stone. We've got we uncut the Glenelendra Liege. I must have gotten my piles mixed up at a certain point now. Where are my instants? So what have we got here? Did I just, like, completely... Oh. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So we have Arcane Denial. Consider. Fact or Fiction. Frantic Search. Illusionist Gambit. Keep Watch, Opt, Reality Shift, Reckless Spite, Repulse, I think Spell Stutter must have gotten mixed up in the other pile. Nope, those are the cuts. Spell Stutter. So I think a Thrilling Encore might have been one that put on the battlefield under your control all creature cards in the graveyards or put them in battle that turn. I don't have one of those. That's really sad. But our other one will encounter that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I think, since I appear to be missing an instant, the fairy trickery is a gimme. So counter target non-fairy spell. I think that's a legitimate include for this. So there's our 12. Here. We just have to check our creature count to make sure that we do in fact have, 23-ish creatures. A fairy deck really does demand a fairly large volume of creature. And we have a little bit of room to make a couple of additions, so, or not additions, but to bring back a couple of our cuts, because we didn't actually go with 25. So okay, so there's that. So what do we got for creatures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And Notorious Throng makes creatures, but it is in fact a sorcery. So we have 8 creatures so far. Okay. And then, of the ones we didn't cut, we've got 1, 2, 3, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we can bring 2 back from our cut pile. I'm a big fan of Sower of Temptation. I love stealing. Yes, thanks a lot for hanging out. And hopefully I'll catch you again in the near future. So, Sower of Temptation. And I'm actually a big fan of the Scion of Una. So I think that's what we're going to go with that as our 2 extra cuts, or 2 extra uncuts. Okay. I should make sure there's nothing in this pile that we're supposed to be. So the Gwendolyn Archmage was not supposed to be cut. Oh, I see we added a bunch of, okay, so these can all, Fairy Seer, Gwendolyn Franks, Gwendolyn the Leech, okay, so these all stay in as well. It's perfect. Oh, these are, okay, these are spells, there we go. Alright, so we've got, yes, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And we're perfectly happy with that. So that's excellent. All right, so I think beyond sleeving up the cards and giving it... so we don't have a Talion, so he's not in. You know, I don't have a messenger. I do have a ring skipper. I've elected not to play it. For those of you who don't know what it does, a ring skipper is a clash card. Not something I really want to be playing over spell table. And I like a little more control over what's happening with my deck than that. So yeah. Solar is such a great card because it just takes your opponent's bomb and makes it your bomb because there's no requirement to give it back at the end. Okay. So we are pretty much... so we've got our instant sorted out. We've got our Bitter Blossom. We've got our Reflections of Lajara, which we weren't cutting. We've got our Attrition, our Bitter Blossom, Exquisite Blood, Grave Pact, Sanguine Blood. So, except for the Wound Reflection, which I just don't have a copy of. In terms of our sorceries, we've got a Blood Tithe. We have Consuming Vapors. We have a Distant Melody. We have our Insanguinate. I don't have a Fraying Omnipotence. We've got a Kindred Dominance. We've got a Nightmare Unmaking. Tegwyll Scouring, and Into the Fey Court. Did that not? I would have thought that got cut. Yes. Let's cut that. Okay. What time is it? Oh, it's 9 o'clock. So I have an hour to eat something. Okay, and Tegwyll Scouring. So we have 35 lands. Just do a quick count. We have 35 lands. Oh, there's the Thrilling Encore. I do have a Thrilling Encore. And the Dramatic Reversal. Which is not in the list. Okay. We've got a Mind Stone. A Dimir Signet. An Arcane Signet. Commander Sphere. A Talisman of Dominance, Soul Ring. Okay, so we will just quickly count. Katie Combat, no, I tried to raid, but it typed your username wrong. Oh no! Well, that's okay. I will still shout out Katie Combat. Because I adore you, and I think you're one of the coolest people I've met in this game. And if you're not following Katie, you should. I'm not wearing my on-stream clothes. I had to do laundry this week, but my fabulous Blue Mana t-shirt and my Cardboard Combat purple hoodie, those are both from them. So I was the first time I was ever on a stream as a guest was a game that had Katie in it. So that was super awesome. You know, I would have bought more t-shirts except none of them came on white. Yeah, so anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I started out with such organized piles, and then quickly lost track of which piles were which, and so I can no longer count on my substitution numbers being correct, so I have to recount. And 20. Okay, so that's 60 cards. And let's count our lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 25, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. That's more lands than our list. Okay, so now let's figure out what we're with our land count. We're supposed to have 10 islands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 3 islands we can get rid of. And we are supposed to have 11 swamps. So I apologize to Beth. Beth did in fact fix the land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there we go right there. So I think that's the difference. So Myriad Landscape, Exotic Orchard, Sunken Hollow Temple of Deceit, Secluded Glen, Darkwater Catacombs, Tainted Isle of Choked Estuary, Path of Ancestry and a Conclave, Aqueduct and a Command Tower, and Bajuka Bog and a Temple. So there we go. So we had 4 extra lands. Perfect. So it's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So we can put 5 cards back in. Excellent. Oh, there's our... We can put 4 cards back in. All right. So what 4 cards are we going to put back in? What do we think? What do we got here? So we can only work with cards that were from the original deck. So, what do we got here? Yep. So, we're not putting the Nettling Necromancer back in because it gives them creatures. Instant Sorcerer's Pass costs 1 less, and it's a Flying Fairy Rogue. I think that fit our criteria, so this can go back in the deck. So Fairy Blade Crafter was a cut. I'm going to put that one back in because whenever one or more fairies you control deals combat damage to a player, I can put a +1/+1 counter on Fairy Blade Crafter. But when Fairy Bladecrafter dies, each opponent loses X life, and I gain X life, where X is the creature's power. And that's just, it's got just enough synergy, I think, to warrant its re-inclusion back into the deck. Yeah. And then, let's see. I think the Halo Forager is another one. So, and it'll be our last re-inclusion. So I'm putting the Halo Forager back in because I can bring a target instant or sorcery card with mana value X from a graveyard without paying its mana cost. And it's funny because I got messed up on Arena earlier in the day because I didn't target properly because I was busy trying to figure out what the X was without realizing I didn't have to worry about mana colors or how big it was as long as I paid the X. So that's it. That is our build. So if you just hang tight, I will quickly throw sleeves onto the lands from this deck, and we will take a look to see what a sample hand looks like for ourselves. Hopefully you've enjoyed the process of constructing the deck, and then I highly encourage you, if you haven't already taken a look, so we have 3 leftover sleeves, which is excellent. Oh, and of course the most important thing has to happen, which is the ceremonious sleeving of the commander. So thanks to my friend Kato, I have a couple of these still, and in Tegwyll goes. So first thing to do is to get the instant sorceries and creatures into the file, and then ensuring we don't box them, let's distribute these throughout the deck. So these are our instants and some of our sorceries. Oh, aren't they great sleeves? I really wish I'd known where he got them, because I think I would have bought like 5 packages of them just to have them. Like, I really wish I had a deck that was in those sleeves. Although, so I went with the sapphire sleeves, but as I was cleaning out stuff the other day, I came across those, and it was a near miss as to what I was going to put the fairy deck in tonight. But I think if I end up getting any of the My Little Pony Secret Lairs, there we go. I'll do that. Yeah, pony sleeves. I have the DJ pony sleeves as well, but those are open and actually on a deck. Alright. So as important as building the deck is making some attempt at having your mana. So as I said, the only thing that I would have included in this deck that isn't in here is an Amulet of Vigor, because it is a good way to deal with the tap lands and other things that come in tapped. It's also a great defense against cards like Anointed Procession. There's a few other cards that make things your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. And Amulet of Vigor kind of gets around that really nicely. And as I said, it's a really cheap way of fixing a land base. My hands have been going numb intermittently for the last few months. And I gotta say, it's making shuffling oddly weird. So, but Alright, shall we see what our opening hand would be? And then we will wrap the stream up, and I will eat some dinner. Find my Katie combat clothes for my stream tonight. There we go. Alright. What do we got? An island, a Mindstone, a swamp, a Shadow Puppeteers, a Glenlander Archmage, a Likeness Looter, and an Opt. So, we have 3 sources of mana. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Okay? So we have a turn 1 and turn 2. Right? So a turn 1, a turn 2. We have 2 turn 2s. Okay? We cannot turn 1 on a swamp. There we go. Alright, so if we were going to turn 1, we get to draw. So there's our Tainted Isle. Okay. So we are in good shape. I would definitely keep this hand. I'd be pretty good with that. Okay. So I am going to the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this deck list up into Moxfield, so that you'll be able to see what I actually played tonight for the end of this the stream. So thank you to everyone joining me. There are 6 of us, so let's go take our 6-person love fest and go share our love with someone else. I think we're going to go share it with Astral's Flames. There. Astral's Flame. Okay. And let's raid now.
This is the new deck. We're going to call this BRG. Oh, what just happened? Something happened. Who happened? What happened? Hello? Hello, this is Astro's coming in. Hello, over. Yo, Lockness, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to Raiders. My name is Astro Slim. I'm a member of Pocket Studios. I'm an MTG Arena standard and Commander content creator, primarily focusing on Jund and Dragons. Teaching you the ways of how to play best of 3 with Jund and Dragons and getting in the standard way with Commanders. Lockness, thank you so much for that raid. Lockness's community, I hope your day is going great. I hope you're doing well. Onion Bug XD, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Liberating Legion as a Dragoner. You're our 5th follow of the week, my friend. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. Hope you're keeping well.